Welcome, everybody. This is Tian Kriek, your host and your friend from Portugal, here in Southern Europe. I hope everybody is doing fine on this lovely Wednesday, the very 1st of July, 2026. It's amazing how half of this year has already flown by. It's unbelievable. Well, it's a very hot summer here in Europe. And today we are 36 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow we will be 41 degrees Celsius. That is crazy. Anyway, if you'd be so kind to just confirm that you can hear my voice and see the welcome screen, just type it here in your chat box. I would really appreciate that. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Tom, for confirming. For everybody else, this session is being recorded for those of you who might be joining later. I do upload the recording on the website. It's also on YouTube. You can just search my name. You'll find me on YouTube. But before I go and show you how to access this on the website, I need to make mention that I'm not a financial advisor, and that means I can teach you my strategies. I can point out to you be a person you would want to buy and sell, but the actual trading decision you're still going to have to make yourself. A little bit about me. I've got many years of experience in the foreign exchange markets and other financial markets as well. I'm a firm believer in the 18.6-year cycle. It forms part of my probability study. My mantra is that if you're fearing loss, you're going to invite it. So take every trade as it comes. If you get stopped out, then you just continue with the next one, because after all, you're following a system. Right. So you can just go to the website KriekTrade.io, and the website will open. If you're not logged in, then you can just log in. The recordings you will find here on the left panel. Click on, click on recordings. There we go, recordings. And then you will find the latest recording on the website. So at this point, we have last week's recording, last week, Wednesday. Remember, every Wednesday, I host a webinar and I take questions and I talk about the market. So once today's webinar is done, then we will upload this to YouTube, and then that YouTube video will be embedded on the website so that you can go and view that. You'll most probably receive an email notifying you that the recording is ready. Okay, so what's happening with the markets? Well, we haven't made any new highs for the month yet. If I go and have a look at the equity indexes, let's go and open up those charts. This is the S&P 500 futures. There we go. We actually very close to the highs that the markets made in, what was this, a couple of weeks ago, but we're not there yet. So it looks like we're well on our way to those levels, but it hasn't really taken that out yet. S&P is still above the 45-period exponential moving average, which means the direction of highest probability is bullish. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. Actually, if you want to go and see all the indexes of other countries as well, then you can just go and click on the scanner, and then you can go and click on indexes. And here we have a whole lot of indexes. We even have currency indexes. That's the Australian dollar index, the pound index, the Canadian dollar index. That's the German equity index. That's the Dow Jones, and so on. But I want to look at the NASDAQ. So here's the NASDAQ. Click on dashboard to view that in the dashboard, and there you go. So that's where we are with the NASDAQ. I'd like to see this one make a new high. It seems like we're on our way. It almost looks like this is some sort of a symmetrical triangle. Let's look at the drawing tool. Oh, by the way, you can now move this around. Okay, you can move this around if it's in the way. I'm just going to put it back there. Let's draw a trend line over here, and then another one over there. That looks like a symmetrical triangle to me. Look at that. Interesting. Any patterns? Harmonic patterns? Nothing. Conventional patterns? Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a rising wedge. A rising wedge is a bearish pattern. I'm going to ignore this one because um, getting a bearish pattern in a bullish probability that pattern's likely going to fail. So I'm not too worried about that. Okay, take that off. Daily Fibonacci. Okay, so there's our up Fibonacci ABCD swing. Right, and there is a D extension at 38,000 on the Nasdaq. Isn't that crazy? Won't be surprised if we go to that level. Anyway, so that's what we have from the Nasdaq. This one says waiting for a bullish setup. So most probably have nothing on the 1 hour. Oh, there we go. Actually waiting for an entry then. There was a nice entry over here. Let's look at the buy and sell markers. Don't see anything on the chart here. Remember, if you double click on the chart, then it will maximize that. Either way, we're bullish on equities. In fact, all risky assets, such as crypto, stocks, and selling low yielding currencies versus high yielding currencies. Now, there has been um rumors of the Bank of Japan trying to intervene to strengthen the Japanese yen, but I don't think it's going to have, it might spark some volatility, but because of the carry trade and before that's all unwound, once we hit some sort of a recession, once there's cracks in the system, I don't foresee a huge strengthening in the Japanese yen. So I'm very happy to go long Aussie yen, New Zealand dollar yen, Canadian yen, dollar yen, and so on. We'll get to that just now. Um, so let's say you wake up in the morning and you want to know what's happening with the markets. You know, what happened overnight, who said what geopolitical event might have happened, what fundamental announcement might have been released that had an impact on the market, or if you want to see what's going to happen uh, during the day, then you can go and click on the briefing. The briefing will load. So it's gathering information from a lot of sources, and then it plugs it into, or it actually views that from the lens of my methodology, the 18.6-year cycle, the 45 period exponential moving average, the macroeconomic climate, and then it will generate a daily briefing for you. And the daily briefing will explain what has happened overnight, what will move, what we can expect for the rest of the day. It will include a economic calendar and a reading on the risk gauge. It's taking a while today. Definitely taking it longer than normal. Don't see any. Ooh, hold on a second. I don't know if that is. That can't be the. Can that be the issue? Let me just refresh. Maybe it just needs to refresh. Briefing. Oh, there we go. I guess it's just slow. I guess it's just slow. It's normally not that slow. All right. Anyway, so we can see that the risk gauge is at 85. And what does it say? The score is 85. Watch for near-term mean reversion. What does this typically mean? It means equity indices and growth currencies have historically shown relative strength in this regime. Safe haven currencies like the dollar, the Swiss, and the yen, and short duration treasuries have typically underperformed. So that means I want to buy the Aussie and sell the Swiss franc, for instance, and the Japanese yen. Then we have a bullish macro regime. Again, it's mentioning the 85 reading on the risk gauge. And then it's talking about what the narrative is for the day. You know, it's talking about some hawkish leaning rhetoric from Kevin Walsh, the new Fed chairman. And what are the catalysts? Yeah, it says Fed chief Walsh commentary on too high inflation despite the dovish policy. So that's causing the market to be a little bit um, volatile today. I know that equities did sell off just after the open, and it's clawing back again. Then we got sector rotation. What's actually happening here is I can see that equities are moving higher while crypto is falling. So especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then we have actionable insights, Meta, Datadog showing relative strength, midday trading, the decline of the Magnificent Seven, which is Nvidia, Apple, Google, etc., into negative year-to-date territory may signal a broadening of market participation into mid-cap and value sectors. I don't think so. I still think because of the 18.6-year cycle, all of those are expected to continue. Let me say it this way. I wouldn't be selling any of that. Okay. And what is this US decision to not renew the USMCA triggering trade negotiation uncertainty? USMCA. Let's see what that is. Maybe the AI assistant can tell me about this. Oh, I can't copy and paste that. Okay, let's click on the AI assistant and USMCA and how affect the Forex market. Let's see if the AI can actually answer that. In the meantime, Tom is saying, is there a way to enlarge the webinar chart contents? A third of the screen is used to view participants' names and messages, which makes the charts very small. On a 27-inch 4K screen, the text is too small to read. I then have to have the web pages on different screen, but need to keep up with what you manually say, what you're wanting to show. Okay, I understand that. And I've come to realize that using Google to host these webinars, the Google Meet, might not be the best idea. Might not be the best idea. Let me just take a screenshot of this error here. I understand exactly what you mean there, Tom. I might have to move back to Zoom or something like that, because you cannot split the chat from the chart. You can't really drag the chat onto another screen and view the presentation on one screen. Let's see if we can get an answer to your question. Interesting that that question isn't working. Let's do this and see. Hmm. Okay, so I just did a quick Google search here, and this is the answer. I'm going to copy and paste it quickly. Let me know if you can see that. You can close the chat panel on your right by clicking the X at the top right of the chat window. Ah, okay, so there's the X. Okay. Or clicking the chat icon at the bottom right again. Ah, okay. You can click that. You can also click the three dots at the bottom of your screen. Okay, oh, there we go. And then you can change the layout and select the spotlight to force the presentation to take up your full screen. Okay, try that. See if that works. See if that works. I didn't know that. This API 500 is an internal issue that's now crept up today with regards to the AI assistant. The briefing is working, so I don't understand why the AI assistant isn't working. But anyway, we'll work on that. Apologies for the AI assistant not working. But I still wanted to find out what the USMCA, what that means. Okay, so the USMCA heavily dictates forex market volatility across US, Canada, and Mexico. Trade disputes and tariff threats pressure the Canadian dollar, Mexican peso, and the dollar. The dollar acts as a safe haven. So the deal also mandates rules against currency manipulation. So the US-Mexico Canada agreement. Ah, okay, so that is what the USMCA stands for. US-Mexico Canada agreement. It impacts the foreign exchange markets in several distinct direct ways. Okay, so it's basically trade policy stability that's the issue here. And it's basically back to tariffs. That's what's happening. So what's happened? Decision to not renew the USMCA, triggering trade negotiation uncertainty. And that causes capital flight into the US dollar. Well, let's see what the dollar has been doing today. Do we have the dollar here? DXY. Yes, we do. Let's open up that. This is the dollar. Stale data. Let's refresh the data. Right, now the data has been updated. The dollar is bullish. It's above the 45 period exponential moving average. Any patterns? Don't see anything. But I can draw one. Just due to the fact that the market is above the 45 period exponential moving average, and we do come from a downtrend like this. Let's change the color here, can I? No, not yet. Okay. The market made a low and then a high over here and then a lower low, and then it made a slightly higher high, made a higher low, and has now made a new high. What this is a bullish head and shoulders pattern, suggesting that the US dollar will continue to strengthen. And if that's the case, then the yen will weaken. So let's see if there is an opportunity to trade the US dollar Japanese yen, USD JPY. Let's type that in here. Dollar yen is bullish. It's just made a, I wouldn't say an all-time high, but uh, in the common era, that's a high. So that's bullish. It says here to wait for a bullish setup. So I guess there is no buy signal. Buy sell markers, I don't see anything. Stop loss and target, I don't see anything. 1 hour Fibonacci, there is a 1 hour Fib here. Okay, with the target at 167.42, but there is no signal yet. Interesting. You should be looking at what yen pairs are actually aligned. Let's go to the scanner. Instead of me just going through each pair. So this is all the instruments that the scanner is looking at, but you can go and you can select what you want to see, crypto, stocks, ETFs, or Forex, or commodities, or futures, or bonds, whatever. I'm going to click on Forex here, and it's either saying wait for a bullish flip or wait for a bullish setup. I don't see any signals yet today. Isn't that interesting? But nothing's aligned. Let's have a look at the Aussie yen. It says there's a descending triangle, by the way. On the 1 hour chart, it says here the Fibonacci is suppressed. The current swing is bearish, but the macro regime is waiting for a bullish flip. Oh, it's below the 45 period exponential moving average. Oh, the current daily candlestick has moved above it. So that's nice. Goodness. That is a massive candlestick. Did this just happen today, right now? Let me just refresh the data here. Well, it's either looking into the future or there's something something wrong here because I don't see this appearing on any other charts. I guess we need to wait for more data to come in and see, but I don't see a massive bullish 1 hour candlestick at the moment. Let's have a look at another yen pair. Let's look at the pound yen, for instance. You see. No, I think it's just an anomaly. I think it's just an anomaly. Okay. While we're looking at the pound yen, I see that it is above the 45 period exponential moving average. So that is bullish. So I'm going to disregard these bearish Gartley patterns because they're not going to pan out. They're not going to fulfill due to the fact that the probability is bullish. On the 1 hour chart, there is an up Fibonacci ABCD swing, up AB boundary with a very shallow retracement. It didn't even hit the 236 retracement level, and now we're heading up to the D extension. So it's going to be one of those situations where the market move up to the 2.618 without giving us a deep retracement. So expect the yen to continue to weaken. What will constitute a bullish setup? What will constitute a buy? Right, let's go and have a look at the RSI. The RSI needs to be below the 50 level, and then it needs to cross its own moving average. Now, at this point, it did cross its own moving average, but it crossed it at the 60 level, which is pretty overbought. So what I want to see is a situation like this, where it is actually below the 30 level. This green line is the 30 level. So I think the market is just too overextended. We need to wait for a bit of a retracement before getting in here. So, and I see this across the board. I see this with all the currency pairs. So from a foreign exchange perspective, I don't think there's anything that's tradable here today. But I can go and have a look at the scanner and see what else might be tradable. And then if there is anything that you would like to type here in the chat box, anything that you are looking at, let me know and we can jump to that. I've got the whole scanner universe open here, and I'm just going to sort them by signal. And I see that Solana, the crypto, there is a bullish setup that has been confirmed. Reddit, the stock, there's a bullish setup confirmed. The patterns, it shows that there's an inverted head and shoulders, Novo Nordisk, JP Morgan Chase. I know that in the past we did not have a description of the symbols, but now we do. Okay, so now you have a description of the symbols as well. Now it tells me the British pound versus the Japanese yen. There is a bullish setup that's confirmed. Let's just open up this one in the charts again. Oh, yes, it is. Bullish setup confirmed. Okay. So why is that? It is because the RSI actually crossed its own moving average, even though it wasn't oversold. I like this. Personally, I prefer to trade this because you might wait forever for an oversold signal and lose out on an opportunity. Um, so if that is the case, is there some trade parameters I can have a look at? Let's take off the 1 hour Fibonacci, open up the chart a bit, and click on the stop loss and the target. Okay, so there is an entry, there is a stop loss. The entry is at 215.78. The stop loss is at 212.46. It's pretty far away. But that's most probably where the A is of the Fibonacci. And then here we have the target. The risk reward here is 1 to 1.5. So for each dollar that I'm risking, I'll be making 1.5. I'm happy with that. I like that. And then here's the setup. That's it. There's the A, stop loss at the A, and we're heading to the D extension. Perfect. Perfect. I like what I'm seeing here. This is great. Okay. All right. Back to the scanner. Sort this by signal. Right. US dollar, Hong Kong dollar. That's an exotic currency. It's quite volatile, so I wouldn't be trading that one. 10-year treasuries are heading up, which is interesting because if treasuries are going up, then interest rates are coming down. Wow. Well, let's have a look at that. That's quite interesting. Just refresh the data here. We did bring in a refresh button just to make sure that you are viewing the latest data. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying that right now because the market is actually below the 45 period exponential moving average. All right, I'd pass on that. Let's go back to the scanner. Okay, so what's the takeaway for today? At least we got the pound yen that's tradable. You know, I like trade foreign exchange. Pound yen is bullish. There was a nice signal with a good risk reward ratio. Um, the VIX is bullish, but I wouldn't be buying the VIX at this point um, because in a risk on environment, I don't expect the VIX to spike to the upside. So that's a pass. And by the way, um, we might see some volatility heading into the weekend because remember, Friday is a public holiday in the United States, even though it is the 3rd of July. We've got the 4th of July, Independence Day, public holiday in the United States. And because it falls on the weekend, the Friday, it falls on the Saturday, so the Friday is a public holiday in the United States. Okay, Bitcoin still waiting for a bullish setup. So the only takeaway, is a few stocks like Reddit, JP Morgan, but most importantly, the pound yen. I don't see any crypto that's aligned at this point. There's nothing. The Switzerland index is bullish. That's interesting. The French uh, index is bullish as well as the UK FTSE. Wow. Let's look at the Swiss index. Maybe if the Swiss index goes up, we'll see some relief on the Swiss franc. Above the 45 period exponential moving average. This is the daily Fibonacci. Look at that. Huge up ABCD swing with a nice deep retracement to the 382. So the D extension is the 1.618 at 14,000. Okay, so I like that. No patterns, no harmonic patterns. This is the 1 hour. That's the 1 hour fib. And do we have any patterns? No, nothing here as well. All right. Okay. Well, today is a short and sweet session. Pound yen, that's it. Let's go and open up the pound yen again. That's the takeaway for today. Heading into the end of the week. Let's open up the 1 hour chart and have a look at the stop loss and target. So there's the signal. Let me draw this. There's the stop loss, 212.46. There's the entry, 215, and the target at 220.72. Okay, what is this exact value? Well, it's where the market is right now. Okay. Right, so that's it from me. Thanks for joining. Appreciate the input. And you'll get an email informing you that the recording is is uploaded to the website. And let me know if you've got any questions. I always appreciate the questions coming in. Helps me to fix bugs and make it a more satisfying experience for you, the user, to use this analytical software. All right, have a good one. This is your friend from Portugal, Tian Kriek, over and out.